allow us to begin by saying, we have no idea what we're going to talk about. The reason I say this is to allow you to understand that when you live totally in the moment, you don't necessarily have to plan everything out. Don't necessarily have to lay it all out before you do it. You can, in the moment, upon the realization of what needs to be done, simply call upon your connections to the infinite to bring through whatever information is necessary at that moment. You don't necessarily need to think about it a moment before. Just know that you will know what you need to know when you need to know it, and it will be there for you. This connects into the idea of living fully, your excitement, being present, being in the now, and knowing that you are connected to all that is in whatever way, shape, or form at any given moment you need to be to bring through for you at that moment what you need most. Living in that trust, living in that assurance, living in that knowledge is the state of being that best reflects living your life to the fullest, living your excitement to the fullest. Now again, when we talk about the idea of excitement, you can use any kind of label you wish to represent that. We understand that words have different meanings in your society, and excitement, in a sense, can be many things to many people. It can be unconditional love, it can be joy, it can be bliss, it can be passion, it can be a peaceful state of mind. You don't always have to be jumping up and down to be excited. When we talk about the idea that we refer to in your language as excitement, we are simply talking about that vibrational state that represents you being in harmonious alignment with your true natural self. And the process of discovering your true natural self and being that true natural self is what it's all about in terms of having a life that allows you to experience ecstatic explosions of synchronicity and effortlessness and creativity and love and joy. It is the willingness to be who you really are, to discover who you really are and be that you. That willingness is all it takes to get the ball rolling, to start the momentum going, to bring into your life, to attract to you those things that are most reflective of what you need next, of what you need to look at, what you need to deal with, what you need to process, in order to add that knowledge and add that experience to your being, so that you can expand and expand and expand and become, experientially become more of who you were already created to be. There's a process of self-discovery, a process of awakening, a process, in a sense, of remembering who you are. As we said, that's what physical reality experience is all about. It's making choices. It's the ability to choose. It's the experience that choice brings you of discovering through all the choices you make who and what you really are as this particular personality in this particular parallel reality life. Now, yes, of course, the greater you, what some people may call the oversoul, obviously has a number of lives going on simultaneously in what you call parallel realities or past or future. All of those things coexist concurrently, simultaneously. But this you is unique, as all of the different versions are, all the different life experiences are, whether physical or not. Each aspect of your greater self is unique. And so even though you have many lives, this life will never happen again and has never happened before. This is the only life this you has. And so to make the most of it, to allow yourself to really experience, to really savor what this life is all about, the idea is that you have the freedom, regardless of what you have been taught, regardless of what you may still believe, you have the freedom at every given moment to choose who you prefer to be, how you prefer to act, what experience of life you prefer to have, that you believe is most representative of the you are, in your heart of hearts, in your deepest soul. Now, as children, many of you automatically understand what it is to live an exciting life. But of course, different belief systems that have developed within your society over time will often talk you out of continuing to live that exciting life as you grow up, as you mature. But the idea is really to learn to balance that, to learn to blend that, to learn to become a grounded adult who still understands the freedom of play, the freedom of creativity, the freedom of excitement in the way you understood it as a child. So it is allowing yourself as an adult to rediscover how you can integrate that excitement, that childlike attitude, that childlike gratitude for every moment of the day, for a total appreciation of your life in a way that is natural, in a way that is second nature to you, actually first nature to you. So that you can know with assurance that as you move through life and as you make decisions and as you make choices, you are constantly supported in whatever choice you make, to whatever degree you are willing to make it. You are never not supported by the universe. And this is the first element we wish to drive home with you with regard to the idea of living an exciting life, is the understanding and the realization you are never not supported by the universe. Totally. Many of you can create an experience as if you are unsupported in a variety of categories and ways, but all that is happening is you are being supported in what might be a negative belief. The universe does not judge. All that is does not judge whatever belief you choose to experience. And if you choose to create a definition and a belief within your consciousness that says you are not supported, the universe will support you in your experience of lacking support. You are always supported, but you are only supported to the degree and in the manner your strongest belief says you are capable of being supported in. But you are supported fully in that belief, in that experience. Every single belief, as we have said, contains, in a sense, a mechanism that reinforces that belief. It creates a self-fulfilling reinforcement mechanism. It has to, by definition. If beliefs did not contain self-reinforcing mechanisms, you would not be able to have discrete experiences in physical reality. You would not be able to have a particular experience of a particular belief without other beliefs leaking in. And this is, to some degree, one of the things you are learning to transform, is the idea that you can have an overriding belief. An overriding belief that colors all other beliefs, that beliefs are easy to change, instead of an overriding belief that beliefs are difficult to change. The overriding belief that beliefs are difficult to change is part of the paradigm of the belief itself that is there so it will be reinforced so you can have that experience that the belief creates. But now, in your age of transformation, you are learning you can replace that overriding belief, that program, that equation, with another one. That beliefs are easy to change. So that you can simultaneously, shall we say, experience to whatever degree you wish to any particular individual distinct and discrete belief, but at the same time always leave yourself a key to unlock from that belief, should you desire to do so when you are done with that scenario. This, in some sense, is the malleability, the flexibility that is required as children have it to shift very quickly from belief to belief to belief to belief, from experience to experience to experience to experience, creating a life that can go at any given moment in any direction whatsoever. So that you understand that every single moment is a zero moment and is absolutely not connected to the moment that was there before it, unless you believe it is. And that's the key. At every moment, you have the absolute and total ability to reinvent yourself, redefine yourself wholly, completely, and become a completely different person. That is another thing that it helps to begin to realize, fully realize, when it comes to living a life of high excitement, is that every single moment you actually are literally a different person. And the person that was there a moment ago is not the same person. And even though you may look in a mirror and see what you think is the same face that was there a moment ago, that is just an illusion of continuity that you are creating for convenience sake, so that you will not be deemed crazy or insane by your fellow members of society. But you could create such a distinct difference in the person from moment to moment that when you look in the mirror, you would actually see a different face every single time you look. Some of this ability has been demonstrated, as you say in your language, scientifically, medically, in cases of what you call multiple personality, where you can actually have one personality that actually has a particular physical condition, such as a cancerous tumor. But when they switch to another personality, the tumor is nowhere to be found. Instantaneously transforming because this personality never had cancer. It's not that reality anymore. That this can be done by individuals exhibiting multiple personality disorder shows you what kind of capabilities you actually have, and if you can, as you say, get a handle on transformation to that degree, and at the same time know that it doesn't have to be out of control, then you can also make the same kind of transformation instantaneously in any way, shape, or form you wish. And when you begin to understand that that's what you're already doing anyway, from moment to moment, then you can, with more consciousness and more intention, guide the transformational change from moment to moment in the direction of your preference, in the direction of your excitement. Remember, that's what it's all about. It's not about learning how to do these things. You already know how to absolutely and completely and utterly do all these things. Create any reality, every moment, transform instantaneously, let go of one belief and latch onto another instantaneously from moment to moment to moment. You're doing it all the time. The issue is not learning how to transform. The issue is awakening to the choices you are making of what you transform from and to. Because you can create a sense of continuity in the beliefs that you choose that make it seem as if, from moment to moment, nothing much has changed. When in fact, from moment to moment, everything has changed. You are a completely different person and a completely different reality, literally, take me literally, every single moment that you experience. Any change at all, it's a total change, a complete change. You exist as a different person in a different universe, utterly. Utterly. So you don't have to worry about learning how to do that. It's automatically built into your creatorhood. That's what you do. You can't help yourself but create, moment to moment, a new universe. You are made in the image of all that is, and all that is constantly creating new ideas, new perspectives, new universe, constantly shifting its consciousness simultaneously and concurrently from every different possible perspective, and that's exactly what you're doing too. But you have created an idea You have created an idea, a notion, a system of definitions, a system of beliefs that define a particular experience you call physical reality on earth. And you have set up certain guidelines, certain parameters that you've all agreed to abide by to make it seem as if you are not doing all the things we are talking about now. Again, as an example, you talk about the idea, or your scientists talk about the idea that you only use 10% of your brain. No, you use 100%. But you use 100% to make it seem as if you're only using 10. That's what you're doing. You're creating an experience of only using 10% of your brains with 100% of your brains. So waking up to that fact is what will allow you to realize you can change the percentage anytime you wish. Anytime you wish. Because all you're doing from moment to moment is saying, I choose 10%, I choose 10%, I choose 10%, I choose 10% again, I choose 10% again, I choose 10% again. Why? Because I said I have to. Why? Because I said I have to. Why? Because I said I have to. That's all you're doing. You're creating an illusion of continuity with your choices. You can break the continuity. Now I understand, again, because of belief systems within that particular paradigm, that the idea of breaking continuity can be scary because of the way you define the concept of breaking continuity. But what this is all about is learning to break continuity creatively. This is all artists do anyway. You're all artists. You're all geniuses. The idea of there being a fine line between genius and insanity is exactly this issue. The individuals on your planet that you call insane or have psychological disorders like the multiple personality disorder we recently mentioned, the only difference is that they are not aware of what they are doing in such a way that they can apply it creatively. They're not breaking their continuity intentionally and consciously. This is all about doing the same thing, but doing it intentionally and consciously and artistically and creatively. That's the only difference, and that's why you recognize instinctively, intuitively, that there's a very fine line between genius and madness. Because the idea of going from genius into madness is simply an idea of creating a belief system that allows you to forget that you are capable of breaking your continuity at will. And when you impose upon yourself the belief system that you are not breaking your continuity by choice, then you experience the thing called madness or disorder. But when you understand that you are breaking your continuity by will, by choice, then you have genius and artistry and creativity. That's the only difference. It's an issue of understanding how to break your continuity by choice and liking it, enjoying it, and not being afraid of it. It's all about making a friend of the unknown. Making friends with the unknown. Allowing the unknown to be a place of excitement and surprise and discovery rather than a place of fear. Rather than something to run from. Rather than something to hide from. It's a place to go toward. The unknown is where you will discover all the rest of yourself. That's where the rest of you is. In the unknown. So you want to develop a willingness. A willingness. Not just to crawl there, not just to walk there, but to run there. Run to the unknown. Embrace the unknown. It only contains more of you. That's all the unknown ever contains. More of you. More ability to discover more of you. If it's scary, that's an opportunity to get in touch with the belief systems that make it seem scary. Because it's only your definition of the unknown that creates the experience of fear. There is nothing about the unknown itself There is nothing about the unknown itself that generates fear. Only your definition of it generates the experience of fear. That's all. It's the only thing that works that way. So, embracing the unknown, making choices at will to break your continuity creatively, will begin to allow you to truly experience what you have for a long time called magic, where one moment does not necessarily have to appear connected to the next, where your space-time reality begins to get very slippery, and you can all of a sudden begin, if you have not already begun, to experience such things as winding up somewhere and having no idea exactly how you could possibly have gotten there, getting somewhere in an amount of time that heretofore would have been impossible to get there in, and all sorts of experiences like that where you suddenly realize that you can do without some of the intervening continuity moments. The ideas of teleportation, the ideas themselves of shifting in time, the idea of expanding your awareness to many different lives and parallel dimensions of reality, all come from the willingness to break your continuity creatively. Now, up to this time in your history, it hasn't necessarily served you to do that, except perhaps now and then in a very random way when it served some particular purpose in some particular person's life. But now, in this day and age, the idea itself that you are in a day and age of transformation allows you to consider many more options, many more possibilities of what you can experience physical reality to be. Physical reality is very flexible, very malleable. Remember, it's just an illusion. It's just a mirror. It only reflects back what you give off. So just as your reflection in the mirror really has no substance, physical reality itself really has no substance and is, in that sense, a true will-o'-the-wisp. It will take its form only from what you believe it to be. Only from the solidity you impart to it with your definitions and your meanings and your beliefs. It is no more substantial than that. No more substantial than your idea of it. What is real is your experience. That's reality. Experience is reality. Reality is experience, not the things that are the props of the experience. The experience itself is who you actually are, is what you actually are. You are consciousness experiencing itself from all the perspectives it can. That's what creation is. Consciousness experiencing itself from all the perspectives it can. That's it. That's what reality is. And when you begin to get a handle on that, when you begin to be willing to break your continuity with that intention in mind, you open up a myriad of possibilities that heretofore were not experienceable in physical reality, because you are redefining physical reality itself. We have long said, and we will repeat this if necessary, we have long said the process of shifting, the process of ascending from one dimension or one reality to another is the process of realizing that you actually are the reality you previously thought you existed in. I'll say it again. The whole concept of ascending, the whole concept of moving from one reality level, one dimension, one density to another, is the result of realizing that you actually are the reality itself that you previously thought you existed in. So what we are...
So, before we talk specifically about the energy of excitement, let's talk now about the idea of the belief system within your personality. Let us begin with the basics. You are an unbroken consciousness. You are one spirit. But when you choose to experience the idea of physical reality, then certain things have to be created in order for your spirit to have that experience. You must create what is called the physical personality. This is similar to the idea of when you want to go scuba diving, you must bring certain apparatus with you, such as a diving suit and a breathing apparatus and a mask to be able to see clearly underwater. So as a metaphor, there is your spirit hovering above physical reality, just like a diver would hover above the surface of the water, looking down into it, wondering, I wonder what's down there. And so the spirit, looking into physical reality, saying, I wonder what's down there, I think I'll go see, must then create the proper tools to be able to function down in physical reality vibration, which is a little bit lower than the spiritual level in frequency. Now, of course, from time to time, spirits can pay short visits to physical reality, but this is the same idea as simply jumping in the water without scuba equipment and holding your breath for a while before you come back up. But in order to really stay down there and explore for a long time, you have to have the breathing equipment, the proper equipment to be able to see and appreciate what is going on under the water or down in physical reality. And just as water is denser than air, the vibration of physical reality is, in a sense, denser or thicker than non-physical spirit reality. And just as you move more slowly in water than you do in air, things move a little bit more slowly in physical reality than they do in spirit, because the vibration is lower. The spirit must lower its frequency down into a slower vibration of time and space. And in order to explore time and space, physical reality for a long time, you must create the proper apparatus, that is the body and the personality. So then, as you generate the idea of transforming into a body, you simultaneously then form, as the body grows, the concept of the structure called physical personality. And for the general theme that you know you are choosing to explore in physical reality, you will in a sense then choose generally the people that you will be with, your parents, and the general time of your birth, so that the frequency of physical reality at that moment will in a sense create an imprinting upon the body that generates a specific kind of personality. And this is the basis of the concepts that you call astrology and so forth, because what is happening is that when you physicalize, it's like crystallizing a moment in the totality of space-time, and that is like being able to read a general blueprint of the kind of personality structure you have frozen in order to explore the theme in physical life. In that sense, the personality is analogous to the idea of an ice crystal. It has a certain kind of beautiful form and structure. It has a pattern that can be understood and appreciated and read. Now, the unique thing about the personality, however, is that while it is, in a sense, frozen in one way, it is very fluid in another way. In order to explore physical reality, you must maintain the basic components of personality, which is thoughts and emotions and beliefs. But because you are never disconnected from the spirit that you are, you have the ability to constantly rearrange the pattern of the ice crystal of your personality, to change the beliefs, the emotions, and the thoughts. So as long as you choose to remain physical, you will maintain the general framework of a personality, but you will constantly change the content of the framework. And the framework, once again, is beliefs, emotions, and thoughts and action in that sense, or behavior. The first level of the personality is beliefs. They are definitions that you are taught to believe are true about reality. It is very important how that is phrased. We are not saying that beliefs are true representations of reality. We are simply saying beliefs are what you have been taught to believe are true representations of reality. Without a belief or a definition of reality, you cannot experience physical reality. Conversely, everything that you do experience of physical reality stems from what you believe or define to be most true about physical reality. From this idea, you can clearly understand that if you want to change the experience of physical reality, what you need to do then is change the belief, change the definition you have of reality. Now, please understand that when we go into detail about how to change your definition and how to change your beliefs, we're talking about how to do this more consciously, because you're already doing this all the time. If you were not changing your beliefs and definitions all the time, you would not have an experience of time and space in physical reality. Nothing would seem to change at all. So you are really very, very rapidly, on an unconscious level, changing your definition of reality all the time in order to have a sense or an experience of continuity and motion and the change of time. And by bringing a certain aspect of this ability into more conscious awareness, it gives you more control as to exactly how to change those definitions and what kind of experience of physical reality to have. We will get to the idea more specifically of how to change definitions and beliefs in a moment. But first, let us go to the next component that creates physical personality, that is emotion. Emotion is literally energy in motion. And all emotions must come from beliefs. In other words, you have to have a belief about something before you can actually feel a certain way about that thing. If you don't have a definition of something, if you don't believe something to be true in a certain way, then you don't actually have a feeling about that thing, or not very much of one. So all of the feelings that you experience in life stem from a definition that exists within your personality first. And then the third component is the idea of thoughts, your mental side. And so all thoughts, in a sense, stem from the emotions, which stem from the beliefs. In some senses, thoughts can also generate more directly from beliefs as well, but they usually come through the emotional component at the same time. And this forms the triangular structure of the personality, which is belief, emotion, and thought patterns. All together, these three components then determine behavior, action. This is why you have a saying on your planet. You know who they are, you know who a person is, not so much by what they say, but by what they do. Because when a person just says something, you may be dealing with only really one or two, in a sense, of the components of the personality structure. You may be dealing with all three, but not in an active way. But when you see a person's behavior, you can know without a doubt that you are seeing the result of the activation, the engagement of all three personality components fully engaged, fully active. And then you can tell from your own behavior, your own actions, or someone else's behavior, someone else's actions, as to whether or not there is any imbalance or negativity in any of the three components of their personality. Since the triangle of personality is belief and emotion and thought patterns, The idea is that these three must be in perfect equilibrium, perfect balance. In a sense, you could use a metaphor and say that if there are negative beliefs and negative emotions and negative thought patterns, then in a sense, you could say that the triangle is reversed. And then you can learn to bring it back into balance with the ideas and techniques that we will be discussing this day. The reason that this is so important is as follows. If you are going to create the reality you prefer, if you are going to manifest your dreams, you must allow the physical personality to be in balance. That's one thing. You must create the beliefs, emotions, and thought patterns to be in a positive state of energy. And in order for these ideas, in a sense, to stay with you, for you to be able to use them, you must be in harmony with your spirit and in harmony with creation. What this means in simple language is you must be willing and able to love yourselves fully, unconditionally, and accept the unconditional love of all that is. Because no matter how many techniques we may teach you or how many tools we may share with you, none of them will really stick very strongly or have a strong effect if you do not harmonize with yourself and creation first by staying within a state of unconditional love. Anytime you move out of that vibration of loving yourself and receiving the love of creation, the tools will be less effective. The techniques may still work a little bit, but they will not be as powerful, they will not be as lasting. The reason that the tools are designed this way, to be more effective when you are in that state, is so the tools will always guide you back to that state where they work best. So all the tools and techniques contain a self-guidance system to bring you back into alignment, or perhaps more specifically, to make you want to go back into alignment so that they will work more powerfully. So the tools, in a sense, are functioning like the scuba diver's mask. When you are out of alignment with your self-love and the love of creation, it's like taking the mask off. Suddenly everything underwater looks murky and fuzzy and indistinct. It's harder to tell what direction you're going in because you cannot see the landmarks under the water as clearly. But when you put the vibration of love back into the equation, it's like putting the mask back on and suddenly everything is sharp and clear and your path is well defined. Now suddenly it's not just things close up you can see, now you can see the big picture. You can see and appreciate at a distance. So, when you are then using the techniques we are going to share and you find that they are not working so strongly, center yourself, get back into alignment, love yourself, receive the love of the infinite, stay in that space, and they will work just fine. When you stay in that state of love, you have a 100% guarantee from the infinite that these tools will work as advertised. The thing that is beautiful about creation is that guarantee never expires. It is forever.
You do not have to learn how to manifest. This is automatic. It is built into you as a creator, as an aspect of creation. You do not have to learn how to manifest. What you are simply learning is how to manifest more consciously, to be more aware of how you manifest so that you can manifest what you prefer, instead of manifesting your unconscious beliefs. The idea is to always, first and foremost, recognize that any manifestation that you create, any physical experience you create, is the result of the strongest definitions and beliefs that you hold within your conscious or unconscious mind to be true. Because that is how physical reality experience is created. Physical reality is really nothing but a mirror, a reflection of what you believe most strongly is possible, is probable, is true for you. This exists on both a collective level and on an individual level. In other words, you have a collective agreement about what is highly probable or not in physical reality, and you will abide by that collective agreement to a great degree. For example, most of you, not all of you necessarily, but most of you will agree for the duration of your physical lives that gravity will work. It is as simple as that. You have agreed to that particular physical parameter of experience. And unless you have a specific reason for canceling the idea of gravity and levitating or floating, which many of you might, then you will generally go about your day-to-day activities with your feet firmly on the ground. And that is all you need to understand about that part of the collective agreement. Many of these things are done on a level where you don't have to think about them, so that you can get on with your lives and not have to pay attention every single second to every single thought and every single belief and every single definition that is harbored within your unconscious mind. And that is as it needs to be. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to simply live your lives. You would always be thinking, do I need to take this step? Do I need to take this step? Am I going to stay on the earth? I don't know. I might go floating away. I have to think about this. Obviously, that would take up a lot of your time, and that is something that will not allow you to just experience life in a natural way. You also have an individual component to this agreement. And that means that each and every one of you have a singular theme that you have chosen to explore in this life, and that there may be many variations of the collective agreement that are germane to you, many adaptations that are specific to you and your specific personal theme of exploration that another individual may not necessarily be able to manifest, but you can. There is leeway, in other words, for the individual within the collective bubble agreement. You will stay generally within the collective bubble, but you can vary the idea of what's probable for you as being very different as to what might be probable for someone else to manifest. And this simply has to do with the themes that you chose to explore when you decided to have this life. And yes, you all chose to have a life. This is an issue of choice. It is not something that happens without you choosing it from the spirit level. That doesn't mean you always choose every single detail, but the idea is that you know that physical reality has a capability of providing certain kinds of random events, and that you know that in exploring the theme of your desire, you will allow yourself to gravitate and be attracted to certain kinds, certain themes, certain windows and opportunities of random events that will best serve your ability to explore that theme. How you go about it is really up to you. The idea, thus, then, it is a kind of a combination, as you say in your language, between what you typically call destiny part, is the idea of the general theme you chose to explore in this life. That's like a hallway, and you will walk down that hallway. That is a given. That's your destiny. But how you do it, how you walk down that hallway, fast, slow, against the wall, on the floor, crawling, running, upside down, it is up to your free will to decide what works best for you. How it is that it best fits the theme that you chose to explore, how it is that it best fits the persona that you have created yourself to be. Personality being a construction, like a three-sided prism, of three components. Your beliefs and definitions, your emotions, thought patterns, and your physical behaviors. These three things go hand in hand to creating the artificial projection or construct you call your individual personality for this particular life. The idea, thus, is that it all takes its cue, the behaviors and the emotions and thoughts, all take their cue from definitions and beliefs first. That is the first and foremost tool that you need in your kit, is to understand consciously how to recognize what your definitions and belief of life is all about and what your relationship to life and yourself is all about. And once you begin to have a handle on those definitions and those beliefs, then the idea of manifesting what you prefer becomes more conscious. You become more aware of your capability of making choices, and thus you are free consciously to choose what it is you prefer to manifest. But as we said, physical reality is a mirror. Very much like the idea of a glass mirror on your planet, when you look in the mirror and you see your reflection, if the reflection's face is frowning, you know, you don't go over to the mirror and attempt to make the reflection smile. It will never work. The only way the reflection can smile is if you smile first. But the idea is that many of you have been taught to think of physical reality as something to manipulate, which it's not from the outside. The idea is that as you change, physical reality on the outside has no choice, like the reflection in the mirror, but to change. However, here's where many of you get a little bit stuck. We recognize that what you have created as a physical reality space-time experience has a little bit of a time lag, has a little bit of an idea of volumetric space and time. Things take time. So, when you do create a change within your belief system within, the idea is that you will see a reflection from the outside world, but you may not see it right away. The idea is that what you may see first is what we call an echo of what you have already created. The idea being that the same situation may crop up as cropped up before. Now, we know that many of you, when you see the same situation crop up, when you see it appear before you, may sometimes, because of how you're taught to think of yourselves, go into self-recrimination and self-doubt and self-devaluation and say, I must be doing something wrong. Something is wrong with me. Why isn't the outside reality changing to reflect what I know has changed within me? But the idea is there's that echo. And sometimes physical reality will simply give you the same situation, the same set of circumstances that was there before, to give you an opportunity to see if you actually really have changed. Because change, and here's one of the primary tools in the kit, is this knowledge. Change is not about what happens on the outside. It's about how you respond to what happens. It's state of being, not circumstance. So the idea is that if you say you have changed, and a similar situation crops up that cropped up before when you were in a negative state, and you react in the same negative way to that circumstance, you haven't changed. Therefore, there is no reason for the outside reality to change, because you've just proven with the same old reaction that you haven't changed. If, however, the same situation crops up, the same set of props appears before you, and you respond in a different way, in a way that is reflective of the fact that you really believe you're a different person, then you are proving to physical reality you really have changed. And when you make that proof available to reality, then creation and the mirror can change to reflect a true change within you. So remember, it's not about the idea of what changes on the outside that proves you have changed. It's how you respond to what's going on the outside, even if it's still the same, that proves you have changed. Does that make sense? Yes. Because there is no outside. Physical reality is just a reflection. It's just an illusion. It is just another version of you in whatever state you are in. And if you constantly need to remind yourself what state you are in, that's what the reflection is for, so that you can look in the mirror. And if you see the frown, you can say, oh, that's not what I prefer. I prefer to smile. And thus then, when you keep smiling because that's what you prefer, the mirror will have no choice. But if you make it conditional, well, I'll smile when the mirror smiles first. I'll change. I'll be happy. I'll be happy when my physical reality changes first. Then I'll be happy as a reaction. It doesn't work that way, because physical reality is nothing but a reflection of the state of being you believe is most true for you. So if you choose to be happy because you don't need a reason other than that's what you prefer, then physical reality as a mirror has no choice but to reflect the happiness you have decided is the state of being you prefer, without gauging it based on what's going on in physical reality. Because physical reality is just a neutral set of props. Circumstances do not have built-in meaning at all. The greatest gift you have been given by creation is that life, I know this will sound funny, life is meaningless. The point being that you were created to give life meaning, and the meaning you give it determines the effect you get out of it. It is totally neutral unto itself, just a set of neutral props that have no built-in meaning. But it is simple physics. What you put out is what you get back. What you typically call karma in some of your religious connotations. The idea simply is that whatever frequency you give off is the reflection that gets back to you. So the idea simply is that if you understand everything is neutral and doesn't have built-in meaning, then you don't have to react any particular way to anything that happens. Every circumstance and every situation, if you see it as fundamentally neutral, you can then decide, you can make a conscious choice that it must serve you in a positive way. You may not intellectually understand how it will do so, and you don't need to. That's the point. The point is you simply have to trust and have faith that it will, because you know there's no other choice. You know that everything happens in your life for a reason, therefore it must serve you in a positive way, even if you don't intellectually understand how that can be so. And when you maintain that state of being, you will then see in some way, shape, or form how the very same circumstance that seemed so negative before can actually serve you in a positive way, because everything can do double duty, because everything is fundamentally neutral. And when you put the meaning in, the positive meaning in, you can only get a positive effect out, even if someone else's intention toward you is negative. The idea, again, being that every single one of you have your own reality. Yes, it seems that you're sharing a reality, but you're actually not sharing the same reality. The only way that you perceive you have other people in your reality, by agreement, is that you agree to create out of your own energy, out of your own consciousness, your version of them in your reality to interact with. You are actually just your own reality. And even though it seems to be populated with billions of people, that is simply the versions of them you have created in your reality to interact with. So it really doesn't matter what anyone else's intention toward you is. You can decide whether their intention and their vibration and their state of being is appropriate for you, is preferable to you. And when you decide what is preferable, then regardless of anyone else's intention, the energy, being the energy of your own reality, will serve you in the way and in the manner you have deemed it shall serve you because of the decisions you have made. And another person's reality will be experienced by them in the way they have put energy into that reality and meaning into that reality. It's as simple as that. This is simply physics. There is really nothing more to it than that. Let's talk a little bit more about the idea of tools briefly. Again, very important to understand. The tools, just in the same way that you don't have to learn to manifest, it's just about learning what it is you prefer to manifest consciously. Tools, any tool you use to create your life, always works. The tools always work. There is no such thing as a tool of creation that doesn't work. It's about how you're using the tool. That's what makes the difference. So, for example, we know on your planet you have a tool called a hammer. And you know that sometimes you wish to drive a nail into a piece of wood with that hammer. Well, the hammer has two ends. It has the head of the hammer, it has the claw on the back. If you use the claw to drive the nail, you run the risk of bending the nail. That's not the end of the hammer that was designed to drive the nail. It's not that the hammer isn't working, it's that you have it backwards and upside down. The idea, therefore, is if you understand the tool and you use it right side up, face front, you can drive the nail in the way that you need to and recognize that the claw is for the purpose of pulling it out, and when you need to pull it out, you can use the other side of the hammer. So it's all about discernment and learning to use the tools in the appropriate way that they were designed to be used to allow you to manifest consciously and get the result that you prefer. Here is another caveat, however. And I know that this seems strange to many of you in the idea of manifestation. Here is the key, though, a very important key. It will be the last thing we will talk about in this monologue before we open up to the idea of questions and answers. And it is this. The idea is that getting in touch with your definitions and getting in touch with your beliefs to determine what it is that you prefer to manifest must be manifested for its own sake, in the sense of doing the act for its own sake, because that's the state of being, that's the state you prefer for its own sake, with absolutely, here it comes, no expectation whatsoever that what you prefer must manifest. Yes, I know, it seems paradoxical, and it is, but that's the point. The point is you need to use the power of paradox. You need to stay in the balance point. When you attempt to manifest a specific thing with a particular intention, with a particular expectation that it must manifest, very often many of you are putting conditions on it that if it doesn't manifest, as we said, something's wrong. But if you simply allow yourself to be the state you wish to be for its own sake, simply because that's what you prefer to be, then the things that are germane to that state have no choice but to manifest, whatever they are. But if you insist that they must manifest in a certain way, you're actually selling yourself short, because you don't necessarily have the foresight to know the best way that that thing could manifest. And when you insist that it must manifest in a certain way, along a certain path, you're actually closing doorways through which the manifestation could actually happen in a way that is even greater than you imagined it. So don't insist that the fruition must happen in the way that you have imagined it. Just know that it will happen in the way that serves you best, and simply stay in the state that you need to stay, that is representative of that manifestation, so that the manifestation can find you. Because you cannot perceive what you are not the vibration of. This again is simple physics. If you don't stay in the appropriate state that represents the manifestation will remain invisible to you. Because remember, when we talk about manifesting, you're not actually talking about bringing something to you that isn't already here. Things already exist here and now. You don't have to actually reach out to some endless dimension and endless netherworld to attract something to you and somehow bring it into manifestation in physical reality. It's already in existence. It's already here, because there is only here. There is only now. Look at your watches. Anytime you decide what time it is always now, isn't it? Yes, that's the only time it is. All your watches should simply say now, 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 now. That's the only time it really is, ever. You never say, oh, I think it's then. No, it's now. What time is it? It's now. So there is only now, and things can manifest only in the now. What you call, from your linear space-time illusionary perspective, what you call different moments are actually the same moment from a different point of view. It's the same moment. So everything is here, everything is now, and manifestation is just about allowing you to be the vibration, the proper frequency that will allow you to see that part of the now that was heretofore invisible to you. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as an analogy of changing the channels on your television set. You know that when you want to watch a particular program on one channel, all the other programs available to you at the same time still exist. All you have to do is change your channel to see them. That doesn't mean that the program you were just watching has gone into non-existence. It still exists, but you don't see it anymore because you're no longer on that frequency. Physical reality is structured the same way within your consciousness. Whatever you really wish to perceive, you just have to change your frequency, and you'll be able to see that it's always been right here, right now, forever and ever. It's just a matter of tuning your frequency to the appropriate vibration. And the way you do that most strongly, how? Many of you know. Act on your highest joy. Follow your highest excitement. Follow your bliss. Why do you think this is such a popular phrase in your understanding now on your planet? It's because what you call excitement, what you call joy, what you call love, what you call that particular frequency is your body's physical translation of the frequency that represents your true natural core self. That vibration and anything that contains that vibration is who you really are. So act on it. Move toward it. Go for it, as you say, because that's your true compass needle pointing to your true magnetic north. That's why it's so important to act to the best of your ability on your highest excitement. That vibrational frequency is who you were truly created to be. That's all there is to it. It's as simple as that. Unless, of course, you would prefer that it's more complicated and difficult. But that's your choice. We will not take that away from you if that's what you prefer. But we have heard many of you talk, and it seems likely that the majority of you would prefer things to be a little simpler. Creation is, yes, richly complex, but at its fundamental heart, it is not complicated. It is exceedingly, exceedingly simple. Once again, we thank you for allowing us to share this perspective with all of you. And we now ask, in what way, through dialogue, may we be of service to you? Speak up and be bold so that all may hear what you have to share.
Okay, I would like to know...
One moment, what happened to hello and good day?
Hello. Good day, how are you?
And good day to you, perfect, and you?
I'm good, thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, please proceed.
Okay, I would like to know what are my themes for this physical life?
Thank you. Let's take that.
As we have already introduced, the idea is the themes that you have decided to explore are going to be the issues that reveal negative beliefs while you're following your excitement. Those are the themes. So in other words, if you feel, for example, you have a particular talent, a particular artistic bent, a particular desire to do a certain thing creatively, but you find along the way, you find by acting on that you are afraid, that you have self-doubt, that you are not acting on it for some reason or other, that's the theme you chose to explore. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. It is all about transforming the dark into light. Some variation of that idea. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask one more or that's it?
That was a question. So the answer is yes.
Oh, sorry. Can you tell me what do I need to do to raise my vibration, this entity that I'm channeling, to be able to connect more?
In what manner are you channeling another entity? What style, in other words?
It's a yes and no.
Vocal, automatic writing?
No, it's head movements.
Head movements, all
Yes.
right. Are you channeling for others or just yourself?
I would like to be for others, but
Then
for
why
now,
aren't you? Understand something, again, this is like physics. It is like electricity. When you channel for yourself, the energy comes in immediately and telepathically. You open up to source and get information, but if it's just for you, it just happens instantly. It's just there for you.
Okay.
But if you're attempting to translate it, there's no need to translate it unless someone else is asking a question. And when someone outside of you, so to speak, asks the question through you, then the information and energy passes through you to them. They act as a ground to bring the information through you so that you can perhaps more easily get out of the way.
Got it.
Does that help you?
Yes, thank you.